This preacher has some scars.
Let's talk about that.
Welcome back to Just Pause.
Pause. Just pause.
Because we believe every once in a while, especially if you're catching us here at Monday morning, that you should just pause. On the way to work. Maybe you're at work. Maybe you're hiding in work. Maybe you went to go use the restroom.
I'm so
and
done
you
that.
found yourself.
Have you ever heard that saying, the boss makes $1, I make a dime? That's why I poop on company time.
Luckily today we have brought you world-renowned black belt millionaire philanthropist, Mr. You-Know-Who. And we have preacher and pastor Tim McCann with us here this evening to share plenty of stories. You want to tell us anything about yourself, preacher?
Shock him.
I'm glad to be here.
Hey,
We're glad you're here.
we're glad you're here.
I will say this: I've not been around Preacher Tim McCann much, but we played golf today, me and Justice versus Dylan and Brother Tim, and he had a 3-wood. And I'm gonna tell you what: when he has the 3-wood, it's straight as an arrow.
It's lethal.
220 yards every time. No misses whatsoever. And it was like Dylan, it's like me and Justice, we lost today, sadly. And like there would be moments where we'd have hope. Dylan would just shank one 37 billion yards the wrong way. And then I'd see him grab the 3-wood and I'm like, oh, never mind. It's going right down the fairway.
I would shank one. I'd be like, that's up to you, Pops. You got this one.
3-wood.
No pressure.
That's why-
He just got burnt and killed it. He Happy Gilmore it.
And honestly, I hadn't played in 4 years, though.
Whoa.
Ouch.
We still lost.
We're terrible.
We still lost.
Well,
That's funny.
that's why I like to start my drives off with my putter.
Man, you got some scars, don't you? Dad?
Plenty of them.
Got a lot of head trauma.
Yeah,
He's had several CT scans the past year.
I have.
I think it's went on to his kid.
For sure passes down, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The little one's got it worse than I have. He's busted his head more than I have. But
For those of you that don't know, Tim McCann has a forehead scar. You don't have to go into great detail, but was it a fist fight? Was it a angry wife?
It was an angry mother. I always tell people, she said no, and I thought she said go. And then a frying pan came. 4-wheeler wreck when I was 14 years old, I guess. And we were supposed to be putting it up and to go play ball. And took off down by where Dylan lives now, just wide open, and had a helmet on.
On the road?
Yeah, on the down the driveway.
Oh.
dirt road.
And had my helmet on and everything, and just, I don't know, there was something sitting out in the road, and I turned to miss it, and I flipped and rolled and busted my helmet, busted my head. And
So much for a helmet.
Forgot the brake pedal.
Wait a second.
Where we're going? We don't
Wait
need
a
roads.
second. Is that where the saying "don't do stupid stuff" started?
yes,
go.
because ever who put that in the road was stupid. And ever since that day, I was like, who was stupid enough to put that out in the middle of the road?
Exactly.
Knowing? And it was my grandpa. That's who done it.
Sabotage.
He couldn't stand me coming down his house, and I mean, I used to fly down there in dust and just kick his gravel out. And so he'd park the truck in the middle of the road. He'd just do stuff, and he'd set something out down there, and yeah, and I just
messed up, man.
It is. He loved me though. He loved me.
People about took your life.
He did. And so
You're going to learn today.
it was traumatizing.
Oh,
I remember.
yeah.
Do you remember that sensation? Was it like hot or like
When I woke
physical
up-
sensation?
When I woke up, I felt, and half of the helmet was on my head, like broke. And then I stood up, and the only thing I had on, we were going to play baseball. And so the only thing I had on at that moment was a pair of shorts. That's all I had on.
Right there's your first mistake.
Yeah. I was naked. This was before I got saved. And then after I got saved, I still wear shorts. But anyway, so I got up, got the 4-wheeler off of me, started walking back to, at that time, Nanny and Papa's, and Nanny's walking down the sidewalk, and she sees me. And I knew I was bleeding. I knew that. I knew I was hurting. and I knew I'd touch my head, and it was like, you know, you could just feel something ain't right there. And so I don't know what it was. So she screamed. She had a cake in her hand. She dropped it. She screamed and
Not the cake.
grabbed me up like a baby and set me. She didn't set me on the front porch. She was screaming. She told Papa, "I'll call call 911." And she dropped me. And
Body slammed Tim McCann on the porch.
and I'm laying there, and I'm like, "Am I going to die? Am I going to die?" And I didn't know what was going on, and they was like, "Be quiet, be quiet." Well, then I started getting dizzy, and so then the ambulance came, got me, and took me on, and they was like, "Stay with us, don't go to sleep, don't go to sleep." And I'm like, "Man, I am so tired, you know."
Sure.
So once I got to the hospital,
I'm starting to see the light.
yeah, I realized I had a scar from here to about right back.
It's getting hot in here.
So you were at the hospital before you. You were at the hospital before you noticed, or like before they told you or anything.
Well, before I knew what was going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had a boomerang crack in my head. And so then they wrap it up, they mummify it, you know, and then say you can't do nothing for the next 6 months. And so,
Whoa.
Goodness.
yeah, that was and everybody always,
Okay,
once you
say
get
so.
to know them, what happened to your head? I've always wanted to ask you that. I always tell them a lie. Something,
Yeah.
you know, cool.
I bet sometimes when people were
good.
preaching, because I remember like being a kid, and if you saw something, you know, I bet sometimes when we were preaching, people just like staring at like, I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there
Scared to
trying to
ask him.
figure it out, and they're scared to ask him. Is
I'm
anybody
not gonna
that,
lie. The first time I met a preacher and I saw the scar, it was a little intimidating.
yeah, like you see a scar like that, and you're like, I don't want to cross this guy.
He's fought some dudes.
I got that in
when we
prison.
were-
How'd you get that?
Well, 6 years in prison ministry, preaching, getting out, you know, but doing that, and you go in there and you see Bubba and Sugar Stick and all them everywhere.
Tiny.
You want them, you want them to know when you walk in. You know, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't play games.
Yeah, that scar on my head was like, you don't mess with me.
Sit down, son.
I've been through.
See this? It wasn't much long ago you knocked yourself out on a lawnmower too, wasn't it?
On a lawnmower?
Gosh, I
Yeah.
remember that.
What'd you do, bro?
Well, I was mowing. And so I'm going down a tree line, and you know the yellow writing spiders, and they write, and you know whatever
Big
it is,
ugly
the
one.
big
Yeah, the
ugly
fu-
ones,
the-
black and
yeah.
yellow, and so I'm going down the tree line, just wide open, and then all of a sudden I see it, and my first response was to pull back, and then jerk my head like that to miss it. Well, the row bar to the mower is right here, so it caught me right behind my ear, and then I woke up
Doing circles in the yard.
20 feet later over here. So it just knocked me out.
That spider had some punch to it.
Well, the first thing I thought was, where's the spider? Yeah. I think I missed it. And so I
Spider
wound
back
up
there
in the
laughing.
hospital on that one. Had to go get
Wow.
to make sure. I did have a concussion. And so, and then just like 2 or 3 days ago, I got another place. Can y'all see it?
You're bald?
Yeah, I'm bald.
I can see it. Yeah.
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 Well, that's a roll bar.
Oh,
on
my
tractor.
goodness.
Another one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Them robots.
Brother.
So I stood up.
It's time to retire.
So most of the time we interview people, and they really don't watch every episode, like most of all the episodes of the podcast. And I'm not saying you've watched every single episode, but I feel like you've seen more than most of the people we've had on. So I want to ask you, what is your favorite episode of the Pause Podcast?
Probably my favorite one would have been.
I showed him the one the other night of CJ out there in the driving range with the shot collar around
yeah.
his neck.
Yeah.
You've been in the ministry a long time, and obviously, through salvation, the calling of the Lord. I mean, what was that? What was that step in life, knowing that the Lord was calling you to preach, and how was that transition for you?
Saved when I was 20 years old. 21, I started preaching, and so here we are, 23 years later. But for me, it was as far as stepping into the ministry. When I got saved, I was going to a good church, and I don't agree with certain things they do, but I started coming back here to Cherry Grove, which was my home church. And,
Yes, sir.
Brother Philip was here, but he wasn't the pastor. I loved him, followed him around as far as revival meetings, listened to him preach, and then before long, they voted him in as pastor. He asked us help teach Sunday school, started doing that. I had like 3 teenagers, and they were all like 2 years older than me, and they were 22, 23 years old, and so from there it just I just let God work in my life, and whatever He wanted for me to do,
Amen.
I was just willing, available, wanted to do anything, and so about a year later, probably 10 months later after being saved, that's when I announced my call to preach, and been doing it ever since then. So.
Do you like it?
No. But no, I enjoy it. Enjoy every bit of it. Every area God's allowed us to be in, from working here 20-some years ago to Rock of Ages prison ministry for
I didn't
5
like
or
that
6 years. A lot of traveling and
That one was rough, man. The trips to Mississippi,
There's nothing. in
14
Mississippi.
hours.
yeah. No,
Me and Jeremiah in the back. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And then Daddy turned around. I swear I will pull this car over and wear both of y'all out. And then Jeremiah just had to push the buttons. Quit touching me. And sure enough, he'd pull the car over. Can't tell you how many whoopings we got on the side of the interstate, man.
Brother. No matter where you pull over Mississippi, you're in the same spot. Tobacco fields for miles.
it's everywhere. Cotton fields and tobacco.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
What was the most difficult thing to do as far as like with your kids? You ever had to like go run and make a visit and your son's with you and you're like, come on, you got to go in here. And then Dylan's probably like messing around in the hospital room or like.
Probably in Mississippi. I believe it was Belmont, Mississippi. They were with me.
He started so red.
And they were, we went to prison.
Yeah.
And they went to prison with me.
As visitors.
And so, as visitors.
You explained it.
And, my wife was with me, not them making me uncomfortable, but them over there making me uncomfortable. Because
He
I told
told
them,
us.
I said, listen, y'all sit down. And
Shut up.
You stay over here beside me, behind me. I'm going to shake their hands when they come in, and y'all just sit there, okay? Just stay.
Yeah.
And so they come in, they shake my hand, go right around me
Straight
to go to every one of them, my wife, my children. I'm like, here we go.
I was frozen
So,
with fear.
they got like 200 or 300 inmates to
Shaking their hand.
Some dude
yeah.
come walking up with comb. He had piercings, and in prison you can't have metal piercings. So he took the comb picks and pushed them through his piercings to keep them open.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he come, everywhere, all over his ear, all over his lips. And Daddy told us, he said, don't shake their hands. Because what MRSA was going around.
Mm-hmm.
And so the dude comes and stands right in front of me, and I go, I just stare at him. And all I see is Dad go, shake his hand, shake his hand. And I was like, you just told me not to shake their hand. And I went, and
Dylan.
I was scared to death.
They ain't never been really. Jeremiah probably made it real awkward. I think it was Jeremiah. We was up in, I don't know, Bryson City area, and there was a guy in front of us, and he had a stool that his feet would sit on, and he was about, this big, but he's about 60-year-old.
Yeah.
And he had some vertical issues, and so.
The shorts.
Yeah.
Shortstop.
Shortstop. And so Jeremiah looks at him, and he turns around and shakes Jeremiah's hand and shaking our hands, and Jeremiah's like, why is he so little?
That's what he goes.
Stuff like that. I'm like,
What did he say?
yeah, we're here to get support. Okay, we need some financial support.
this
so
wasn't
we
in
can
prison?
feed you.
Yeah.
No. This was in a church, and so,
So funny.
and he called the little midget man out.
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
He's
but
adopted.
Yeah. I don't know this kid.
I don't know who this guy is.
It happened.
Disrespect this young generation.
I can remember one time I was scared to death, right? So we're coming home from a meeting in the Salisbury area, and one of our members in the church, they had to be rushed to a hospital in Charlotte for something that was going on. I'd never met the member. He was a shut-in for a while, and Dad was we were gonna go up there. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I was young enough to remember I had to go into the hospital with my dad. And I'd never been into like one of those really big hospitals except for like with my sister with some of the stuff she had going on or whatever. And so I can just remember like walking in and like standing in the room and feeling like if I moved, like I was going to get a disease. Like, I don't know why. I just thought like hospitals meant sickness, okay? So like I'm just standing still and I'm like, if I touch something, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And I was so scared, dude. So like the whole time I just remember being as still as I could Haven, she was the one that had no filter. Like, this is true story. We had a foster family in our church for the longest time, but they had one of the babies they were fostering. It was an African American child, and my sister, she's so goofy. Like, she just asks questions. She wants to know what's going on, and she comes up to this lady, and she's a white lady, of course, and she looks at the baby, and she looks at the lady, and she looks at the baby, and she looks at the baby. And my sister had not really understood foster care at the time. And she's just like, why your baby black? And my mom, like, she said she turned white as a ghost. She beelined it to her and took her and said, honey, it's foster care. It's just she's in the home. And it was like this hard thing to explain. And it was so funny. But my mom turned white as a ghost. And I think, you know, shout out foster care. I think it's a great thing. But it was just in our church. Oh my goodness, Haven! We had anytime there was a new child come in, we had to tell Haven, we had to re-explain foster care to her.
How long have you pastored County Cherry Grove and
5 years? What's today? January the 2nd. So I came here 5 years ago. January.
Yeah, I was like,
I took a hot second to think. I was like, whoa.
Sitting here, like,
What is going on?
what's happened?
That's what pastoring does to you. So 5 years ago in June, I came here. And so
Welcome.
8 years I was in Burlington, so 13 years pastoring. And it's been a long journey, but we have been blessed. So
You think about retiring?
yeah. Yeah. I don't think about retirement. I really don't. I mean, I do think about as I get older, and I don't want to be here and the ministry grow and then get so old that I don't have that.
Right.
Right.
Energy and
Fire.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm hoping God give me grace and wisdom when to
Hand it
step
over.
aside, hand it over, and so it can continue going forward.
You just let me know when.
Yeah.
As a preacher, I know they do great.
Just give me a call.
Just call me. Take it on.
Leave a comment below if you're interested in taking Cherry Grove.
That's the
young people that have answered the call to preach or in the ministry,
You need
what
advice.
would be your best advice to them?
Run.
Quit. Quit now.
Quit. No, my best advice would be pray a lot, read your Bible a lot, and if you're married,
Divorce.
just go ahead and leave her. No.
Just kidding.
Be sure that she is spiritually ready for pastoring, and
It's hard to
because
pastor if your
It
wife's
takes
not on board.
two.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. Mine's always been on board, but
I was about to say, I was
but I
thinking
could
about that.
say.
Mom's always been ready.
I could always, but I know what she can take and what she can't take, what I can talk to her about, not talk to her about. I know what it's just like for some of Dylan's married, but when y'all get married, just like you don't want another man attacking your wife and how mad it
facts.
would make you. Well, it's the same way around for them too. They don't
Yeah.
want no man or woman attacking you because
Right.
they know you better than anybody, and so they know the time, the labor, the prayer that you put in for your people and how much you love them. They know the real you as the pastor, and when they see somebody stab you in the back and rip your guts out and stomp you in the floor, it
Yeah.
makes them mad too.
Yes, sir.
And so,
She knows kickboxing.
yeah, and so it's just a balance of. I mean, even here, we ain't really been through no fight or nobody's been mean or ugly to me. There's always people running their mouth, but that's just part of it.
Justice.
Jesus, yeah. Jesus,
Me.
nothing's ever happened to me that's happened to Christ. I can tell you that. And so,
Right.
he's been through a whole lot more than I have. Your worst scars come from those you are the closest to. That, I mean, just out of the blue, turn
Yes, sir.
on you, lie about you,
Right.
and it causes you not to want to get close to anybody else in the ministry
Right,
if you're not careful, and so
I was going to ask you.
nor trust people,
Right.
and so
That leads into my question. I've never asked you this. Is it, as a pastor, is it okay to get close to people? Should you be close to people?
well, there's
Is there a boundary?
there's a boundary. You need to stay their pastor, but you can be their friend and their pastor, and
Yeah.
But pastor before friend.
I mean,
Don't take it personal when you don't get invited to every cookout, you know. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of one of those things.
I mean, we really don't invite people over our house.
Yeah.
You know, in the church, we don't. We'll go out to eat with anybody.
Right.
And I'll go to anybody's house and eat if they let me come. And so it ain't
I'll come to your
that.
house.
Amen.
We really don't. People don't hang out at our house.
Right, right.
And it ain't no sinful thing to do that.
No,
we just
yeah,
don't,
right.
We just don't do it, and we used to, and that's where you got scars from it, and those were the ones. So now we're just like, all right, you know, we'll go out to eat with people, we'll go to birthday parties, we'll go over at their home, or we'll go play some pickleball, play some golf, or whatever.
Right.
We'll be friends with anybody, but.
Well, it's like I've
just
heard
don't get-
I've heard this illustration a lot, and it goes back to like what you said. If me, Justice, Dylan, CJ followed you around, or you followed us around every day, everybody's going to make a mistake, and they're gonna fail God in a way. And I think it's important to understand, even though you're a pastor and you take care of so many different things as a pastor's son. And I'm sure Dylan noticed there's moments where, you know, this son messes up, you're gonna beat the son to death because he, you know, did something stupid. And there's those laps, and I think that as a pastor's son, one thing I've learned is that
Let me tell you something. I thought I was a little too old to get a whooping. I was
never
a
too
high
old.
schooler. Son, he manhandled me. Picked me up off the floor with one hand. I went, one hand. I was like, okay,
okay,
And
big
it
guy.
was-
You puppy.
and I was like, hold on, Dad, hold on. Pow, pow, pow. I was like, Dad, hold on, let me tell my story. Pow, pow, pow. I was like, all right, cool, it's cool.
Dad, it wasn't even me.
It wasn't even me. It was.
We're talking about. I've seen pictures.
Dad,
you
I
were
got
the
saved since then. I'm saved now.
I asked forgiveness in private.
This was 4 years ago.
It's under the blood. I'm sorry. I just found out.
Yeah.
I just asked the Lord to forgive me when you picked me up off the ground.
God forgive me. Hey,
Whoa now.
dude.
Lord, I come to you in prayer.
Pastor or not, growing up with him, I still fear him in a sense.
Yeah.
Be careful. But well, that's how it's supposed to be an authority figure. In
Yeah.
the same way like teachers. I mean,
I don't
you
even
can,
pick with him a lot.
you can build relationships and, you know, I mean, be friendly, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you know, you're still dad, you're still pastor, you're still teacher, you're still preacher.
I will say,
right. So-
having a kid on the way, he has set a wonderful example for me to follow. He was a great
Amen.
father. You tearing up yet? Oh,
No.
man, I'm trying to get rid into this wheel. Sing your song. Amazing grace. Anywho, he set a wonderful example for me to follow. He was a great father, but there was also that line. He wasn't my friend, but he was. I don't know how to say this. He was, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
This is how I've always
And,
put it. My dad's always been a really good friend, but he's always let me know he's not my friend.
Yeah,
he's
that's
my dad.
it.
Yeah.
He's been a really
friend.
good friend when I needed it, but he's never really been my friend. He's
Nothing
been my dad.
ever
But
slid.
a father is your friend.
Yes.
Right.
That's why the Bible said, you know, he's our father, but there is a friend that sticketh closer
Than a brother.
than a
Right.
brother.
Sticky
And
friend.
and that's our father.
Yeah.
Right.
And so my father, he and I've worked together for the last several months here building a house. And
You see how he is
he's
as a
my
pastor?
friend.
Go build a house with him. Hey, speaking of some stuff that needs to be worked on in the house, the other day you come in the house and he tore off some strips in my kitchen. Set them on the bar and left.
Here you go.
He did. He walked in there. He was sitting here imagining something to put something up here, and I got molding all down through the beams. And he's like, plop, 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 broke them. He's like, got it fixed. He's like, that'll work. Set everything down, turn around and walk down.
well, that was
Becca come walking in. He's like, is he gonna fix that? I was like, it's okay.
It's all good.
Just leave it.
It's under the blood.
Busy man. Busy man.
He asked for forgiveness when he was walking out the door.
I was like, it's all good. He'll be back. We went over there and helped him carry some sheetrock. Remember that?
I just carried it upstairs and I was gone. There's about 200 of them left. And I was like, yep, I think that's enough for me. That's about 100.
CJ got what needed to go upstairs, and within 10 seconds, he was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said,
But I'm very proud of you because I honestly, when we
Hey.
like, Dylan's like, let's call CJ. I was, that's funny.
who's going to carry the boats?
But he did. He called him and CJ said, really? He said, all right, I'll be there in about 45 minutes. And he was.
Attaboy, CJ.
I was surprised.
I don't do much, but what I do.
Me and Dylan were down bad. Me and
do.
Dylan were sitting there.
What I do.
Me and Dylan were down bad. We're just sitting there looking at all this sheetrock. We're like, whoa.
Yeah, I
You gonna
woke
lift
up.
this?
I went to get my taxes done.
Dylan's already in a bad mood.
I went to get my taxes done. The girl looked at me. She said, "Got anything else to write off?" And I was like, "No." Man, I was happy. I was waiting on this tax return. I was like, "No, I'm good." She said, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yep." She's like, "Well, have you ever paid in before?" I was like, "No."
No.
She said, "Well, it looks like you owe about $6,000." And I was like,
What?
and she said, "But don't worry, what you get back, we can apply to that."
I got
so
so
wound
much
up owing about $3,000 back, and I was like,
Dylan came pulling up the driveway. I saw it on his face. He said, well, it wasn't good.
and then they dropped all the sheetrock off, and I was like,
It's getting worse.
and dude, me and him carried sheetrock forever. And then we called you, and then we walked back outside and got to look, and I was like, this is horrible. And we didn't think they was going to use it all. And they used every
Used
single
every piece but 3
Golly.
pieces.
Well, it's been great having you, Preacher McCann. It's been
been
an honor to have you here with us. We love having your presence. Your son's okay.
He loves me. He loves me not.
He loves me.
He loves me. He's got no choice.
That's true.
He birthed me into this world, or Mama did. But he was there.
Says who?
Who's my
She
mama?
wouldn't hold it on me.
Yeah. Now,
Let
granted,
me come in there and Mama come in there.
that's messed up.
It is.
That's messed up.
Well,
I'll tell you what, you can be there for my child's birth.
I'll be there.
At some time.
I will be there.
When my
The
name's
child comes out.
But thank you. We've enjoyed it.
On that note, we'll see you guys next week.